There are a whole lot of super soldiers in the MCU. Seriously, like so many. Plenty of government experiments to give people superpowers and transform them into living weapons. And today, we're going to take a look at all these super soldiers littered throughout the MCU and rank them all from weakest to strongest. So let's get to it. The forgotten super soldier Isaiah Bradley was a part of human testings for the super soldier serum during the 1950s. He was one of the few survivors of the experiment, and becoming a super soldier was assigned by the US military to eliminate the Winter Soldier in South Korea, a mission he ultimately failed. However, the government didn't like the idea of a black super soldier, so they sent Bradley to prison, where he would spend the next 3 decades of his life being experimented on by the government and Hydra before finally being released. Bradley was actually a pretty good fighter and soldier, was able to hold his own against Winter Soldier in their fight, even ripping off Bucky's arm, but we ultimately just never got the chance to see much from him, and I think he's the bottom of the list here. Red Skull is technically the first super soldier. He was before Captain America and is an imperfect version of the serum. Just don't tell him that. He thinks the red face looks good. And honestly, he just never really impressed me. In theory, he could be just as powerful as other soldiers on this list, but what did Red Skull ever really do? Get beat by the weakest version of Captain America and turn into a floating ghost? Yeah, that's about it. Carly Morgenthau and the Flag Smashers are super soldiers and are able to hold their own against the likes of Falcon and Winter Soldier, but you can't really say they're the strongest super soldiers out of the bunch. They're not the best fighters, they're not the strongest or the most powerful. When other super soldiers really go all out, well, the Flag Smashers never really stand that much of a chance. The Red Guardian was Russia's answer to Captain America. While there might have been a time where he could actually contend with Steve Rogers, those days are long behind him. But still, he's a super soldier, he's superhuman. While he might have put on some pounds, he's still incredibly strong, incredibly tough, and a very hard man to beat in a fight. John Walker was who the US government chose to replace Steve Rogers as Captain America. But when he murdered someone in broad daylight, well, then Sam Wilson took over the mantle from him. But the government wasn't done with John. They recruited him in secret to serve as US agent. John isn't as skilled or capable a fighter as the OG Captain America was. So when he lost one too many fights, well, he decided to amp himself with the super soldier serum. And then US Agent became insanely powerful. He was able to fight against Falcon and Winter Soldier at the same time, but he's still not a very skilled fighter. That's ultimately always gonna hold him back. Bucky Barnes was the second successful attempt at creating a super soldier, as he was injected with a serum similar to Captain America's, though he's being held hostage by Hydra in the 1940s. It was this serum that allowed him to survive the fall off the train, that allowed him to become the Winter Soldier, that allowed him to fight against the likes of Captain America and Black Panther. The only thing is, his serum wasn't strong enough to allow him to save his arm. But hey, you know what? A vibranium arm might be better in the grand scheme of things. Shuri was the princess of Wakanda, but after the loss of her mother and her brother, well, she took her place on the throne as the new queen in the new Black Panther. She didn't technically take a super soldier serum, but instead, she took a variation of the heart-shaped herb and gained all the powers of the Black Panther, so becoming a super soldier in her own right. She's got her own Black Panther suit made out of vibranium, and of course, she had to include her signature vibranium gauntlets that can shoot out blasts of sonic energy, all of which combined allowed her to take down Namor. And if you include Shuri as the Black Panther on this list, well, you gotta include Killmonger too. He too took the heart-shaped herb, gained the powers of the Black Panther, and all the strength and abilities of a super soldier. And Killmonger got access to Wakandan tech too, all sorts of vibranium tech and gadgets, and Killmonger is a lethal and deadly fighter. He's got plenty of experience killing anyone standing in his way. When Steve Rogers wasn't able to take the super soldier serum himself, Peggy Carter stepped up in his place, becoming Captain Carter, the ultimate soldier. And just like Captain America, Captain Carter is superhumanly strong, fast, tough. She's a world-class fighter and a menace with her vibranium shield. She's gone on tons of different fights and adventures throughout the multiverse, battling against Infinity Ultron, teaming up with the Watcher, wielding the Infinity Stones, even becoming one with a universe. But at her core, well, Captain Carter is a super soldier through and through, with a lot of the same powers and abilities as the OG soldier, Captain America. Deadpool is technically a mutant, as he was injected with a drug that was supposed to activate any mutant gene laying hidden inside of him. But it came about by government experimenting, qualifying him to make this list too as a super soldier. He's got a healing factor that's basically on par of Wolverine himself, able to instantly heal from essentially any injury or any attack. On top of that, well, Deadpool is an elite mercenary, one of the best fighters and killers on the planet. Captain America, the ultimate super soldier. Bet you expected him to be number 1 on this list, right? Not quite. Close, but no cigar. Steve Rogers was the first successful super soldier, and a lot of people believe that it was a result of Erskine finally perfecting the formula. That's why it was so devastating to the US military when Erskine was killed moments just after Rogers emerges from inside the chamber. However, I think you could also argue that while Erskine did tweak the formula, it was actually the man that made it so successful. Because despite the name, a super soldier doesn't require the perfect soldier, but a good man. And despite what Tony said, there's a whole lot more that's special about Steve than just that formula. T'Challa was the king of Wakanda, and as such got access to the heart-shaped herb and all the crazy powers that come along with it. And Black Panther is a lot like Captain America and Winter Soldier, a superhuman super fighter. But what sets him apart from the bunch is access to all the vibranium tech. It's what makes him dang near indestructible in a fight, takes a villain like Thanos to knock him out, and if he stores enough energy inside the suit, was able to floor Hulk-level characters. Luke Cage was wrongfully convicted and thrown into prison, where he underwent an experimental super soldier project, was given insane superhuman strength, nearly unbreakable skin. Luke Cage is ridiculously strong, one of the strongest street-level heroes in the MCU, and stronger than your typical super soldier. But it's really his durability and his unbreakable skin. Luke can survive almost any attack that comes his way, take bullets and explosions point blank, and all that makes him a very, very hard man to beat in a fight. Sam Wilson started out as the Falcon and Steve Rogers' right-hand man. But as Steve grew old, well, he passed down the mantle of Captain America and the iconic shield to Sam. It took Sam a while to fully accept it, but now he's Captain America through and through. Now Sam might not be a super soldier. It's part of what makes him so unique as Captain America. But it feels kind of disingenuous to make this list and not include Captain America. With his vibranium tech, well, he's basically superhuman. He can fly at supersonic speeds, he's strong enough to cut through cars or even fighter jets, he's tough enough to take direct attacks from Red Hulk. He's definitely become a whole lot better with that shield. Sam straight up beat a Hulk in a fight. Not very many people can say that. Logan was always a mutant, but it's the experimenting by the Weapon X project that qualifies him to be included on this super soldier list. And plus, we can just all rejoice that Hugh Jackman is back and in the MCU now. Wolverine is easily the most famous X-Men out there, complete with his signature adamantium claws and healing factor. He's incredibly strong and powerful, can survive literally any attack that comes his way, even nuclear bombs. With his adamantium claws, well, you really don't want to get caught in between them. He's a skilled fighter, a lethal killer. He's the best at what he does. What he does isn't pretty. While Pietro and Wanda didn't get their powers from a literal super soldier serum, they very much still started out as super soldiers, signing up for their government to experiment on them and then being sent off to war, just like Captain America. Except instead of being a super soldier, Quicksilver was exposed to the Tesseract, which transformed into one of the fastest men on the planet. He can move at easily superhuman speeds, just appearing as nothing more than a blur. With speed like that, well, you also know that he's packing quite the punch with each hit that he throws out. Bet you didn't expect to see him on this list. Well, yeah, the Abomination technically took the super soldier serum. Emil Blonsky, with the help of Thunderbolt Ross, was the government's solution to match the destruction of the Hulk. Ross explained that the government had been trying to recreate Erskine's serum since the day it was proven a success, and so when Soldier Blonsky was given the opportunity to test one of these variants, he didn't hesitate to sign up. Unfortunately, this variation of the serum, along with the blood from Bruce Banner, resulted in the gruesome transformation of Blonsky, what we now know as Abomination. But nowadays, Abomination is trying to prove that he's really so much more than just a monster. And then if we're gonna include Abomination, we've gotta include the Hulk too. Now, before you freak out, take a deep breath. Just accept that in the MCU, Bruce Banner, the Hulk, is really just a variant super soldier. I mean, it was an attempt to recreate the original serum using Steve's blood that led to the accident that gave Bruce his mean green alter ego. Instead of Vita rays, Banner relied a lot more on gamma radiation for his trigger, which either worked out terribly or really well, depending on how you look at it. It was that touch of gamma radiation that not only led to Banner being the strongest super soldier we've ever seen, but it also made him the only person on this list who's able to turn his gifts on and off, even if he can't necessarily control it sometimes. It kinda took a while for Wanda Maximoff to officially become the Scarlet Witch, but when she did, well, she really cemented her place as a powerhouse in the MCU. Like her brother, Wanda's powers got triggered by Hydra trying to turn her into a soldier, but she was always destined for so much more than this. She's one of the most powerful magic users we've ever seen, to the point where she's more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme. Doctor Strange said he had no way to defeat her, and she could take on all the sorcerers of Earth at once. And she's just as powerful against normal heroes too. She easily soloed the Illuminati, which included an alternate version of Captain Marvel. Scarlet Witch was suggested to be a multiversal threat, and she really lived up to the hype.